Josh Brolin is going to be making a crap ton of money. Hey geeks, welcome to my channel. I'm Trey Guillotine and you're watching Daily Marvels, where I've gathered some of the Marvel news from the past week and put it in one place just for you. A new theory has emerged about the Soul Stone. Deadpool 2 is going to have some jokes about Thanos and also get some reshoots. And Mark Millar knows the secret to the Marvel Cinematic Universe's success. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it around so others can join in the conversation. Kendrick Lamar was behind the soundtrack for Black Panther, and he and The Weeknd actually wrote a song specifically for the Black Panther soundtrack called Pray For Me. This song is actually featured on the radio, apparently in the South Korean casino that T'Challa goes to try and get Claw. So fans think that because the song exists both in the MCU, in Black Panther, and in our own reality, that Kendrick Lamar exists out of space and time, and therefore is the Soul Stone. I admit I don't actually know who Kendrick Lamar is. I know him by name, but I don't know any of the songs he's done, or any of the other musical, or any other of the music that he's done, nor do I know who The Weeknd is. If I have heard any of their music, I don't know that it's necessarily them. But this is kind of a ridiculous theory. I don't think anyone who actually has this is actually considering this to be a real theory, and this is just a joke that's going around about where the missing Soul Stone is. I don't think this is an actual real theory. But at the same time, a lot of people thought that the arc reactor in Iron Man, that Howard Stark's arc reactor, was actually was actually an Infinity Stone because it had the same sound effects as one of the other Infinity Stones, which I think people are giving Marvel a little too much credit in that kind of like Easter egg or hiding something like that. Like whenever they do an Easter egg, it's pretty overt. Whenever they hide something, the clues are pretty... They're pretty easy to find. Like, as much as great as the movies are, I think people are giving Marvel way too much credit in how they're hiding things, because it's never something that subtle. If there's anything that they're hiding, it's something that's going to be very not that difficult to find in the movie. Deadpool 2, which comes out in May after the release of Infinity War, is actually going to have some jokes about Thanos. So Josh Brolin, the great actor that he is playing both Thanos in Avengers Infinity War and Cable in Deadpool 2. So come May, Josh Brolin is going to be making a crap ton of money. So I'm guessing because of this double casting, Deadpool 2 is actually going to have some jokes, probably a little more geared toward the idea that Josh Brolin who's playing Cable, is also playing Thanos. Where I'm wondering is this technically copyright infringement? Because at the time of this filming, I'm guessing the Fox Disney deal hadn't gone through yet. Or were these done after the Fox Disney deal when Deadpool was still more or less in production? While Deadpool 2 is going to have some jokes about Thanos, they're also going back for reshoots. A test audience saw Deadpool 2, and they said that, and the test audience loved Cable and Domino so much in the film that they're actually going back and doing some reshoots so that they can include Cable and Domino even more in the film, which I think is just a super awesome, exciting idea, because just like every other new hero comes out, just like I said about Black Panther and Doctor Strange, whenever a new hero comes out or a new character in a superhero movie comes out, I'm so excited to get to know them, because that's the main way that I get to know these heroes, is I haven't read all of the comics, so I'm getting like an introduction to these new characters and finding out a little more about their motivations, about their abilities, about, you know, just what their character is. So I'm super excited that we're going to be getting even more characters or even more screen time for Cable and for Domino. Plus, if they're doing reshoots now that the Fox and Disney deal has more or less gone through, they can probably add even more jokes about Avengers Infinity War. According to prominent comic book artist and writer Mark Millar, knows the secret to the MCU's success. He thinks that the secret lies mainly in their characters. He talks about how the DC characters like Superman, like Wonder Woman, aren't so much based around their secret identities or their personalities or their characteristics, but they're more based around their powers, and that's how they were created back in the 1940s and 1950s, that those kind of heroes worked for that time. But now we're getting to a point where Marvel, who has always put the characteristics of their heroes in front of their powers, and they've always centered their stories around the characters, aside from and not so much their powers. And he mentioned specifically characters like Matt Murdock or Peter Parker, in that the stories they're telling are more Matt Murdock and Peter Parker's stories, that yes, they are Daredevil and yes, they are Spider-Man, but it's about Peter Parker being both Peter Parker and being Spider-Man, and trying to have that kind of life. And the characteristics of those characters, and characters like Superman, just don't cut it, which makes a lot of sense. I have heard nothing but criticisms of Superman, that he's very one-dimensional, he's very boring, he's so much a Boy Scout. You know who Superman is, there's not a lot of development there, and he's just overpowered, much like we saw in Justice League. And that's where the difficulty of making these characters cinematic comes from. I have always said that the thing I love about Marvel's characters is their characteristics over just what their powers are, and that's something that I say a lot about Bruce Banner and the Hulk. I love the fact that Bruce Banner and the Hulk are both brains and brawn, but at the same time having that duality, they also share the one characteristic of self-doubt. That neither one of them really want to hurt people. That Hulk likes to, smash and fight bad guys, but he doesn't want to hurt his friends. He doesn't want to hurt people who aren't bad guys. He doesn't want to hurt other people. And that's something that I really love about the Hulk, and it's something I relate with. It's why Bruce Banner and the Hulk are one of my favorite superheroes. And DC just apparently doesn't really get that, especially with Justice League. Superman was just such a boring character in that, and just ridiculously overpowered, where they were actually getting some good characteristics from the likes of like Aquaman or Flash. Personally, I think that the closest DC has gotten to truly interesting and developed characters was Suicide Squad, but they had those characters, they had interesting characters, but they didn't really know what to do with them. So the movie bombed. Aside from Wonder Woman, all of DC's movies have pretty much bombed. So hopefully DC can figure out what the formula is to make an interesting character. Not an interesting superhero, just an interesting character who has superpowers. And hopefully they can make better characters and make better movies in the future. What do you think of these daily Marvels, and are there any news stories that you'd like to talk about? Let me know in the comments, and follow me on all the internets. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it around so others can join in the conversation. You can check out my reviews of Marvel TV shows and movies at www.treyguillotine.com, and subscribe to my channel to geek out some more. Thanks for watching, and have fun.